In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of In Full Zoom. I'm Nestor Licanto, your host, and I'm pleased to welcome our guests this week are from the construction industry. We have a Senior Vice President and General Manager for Black Construction, Mr. Leonard Kaae. And we have from Landscape Management Systems, Randy Salas and Vince Salas. And we have from the Guam Contractors Association, Mr. James Martinez. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, let me start with you.
Mr.
Glad to have you as well. Let me start with you. Black Construction and LMS were recent recipients of the Associated Builders and Contractors Award for Top 100 Performers for 2021. Tell me a little bit about your reaction to that and how you plan to maintain that kind of quality work within Black Construction.
Yeah, thanks, Ness. Appreciate being on the show. Obviously, it's a great honor and privilege to be a part of the 100 top contractors in the country, and we're certainly proud of that. And I think it's a credit to all of the hardworking, dedicated people of Black that make Black, a family and the organization that it is. And we strive to continue to hold that level of excellence throughout all of our jobs and all of our operations as we move forward from year to year. And like I say, it's a credit to all of the hardworking, dedicated people of Black.
Absolutely. And Randy and Vince, same question to you folks. Congratulations, first of all, on the award. And tell us how you plan to sort of maintain that kind of quality throughout the upcoming year.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I think for us, we really want to focus on.
I think you might be on mute. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. For us, it's really a matter of being very deliberate with our improvements, deliberate with continuing to grow as a company, as individuals and as leaders. Luckily we were able to bring on Vince, who's really helped us out with, establishing greater safety protocols, establishing a safety committee, improving our processes all around in safety. And that's what we want to do for all the areas of our company, create better systems, create better processes. So that way in the future, 10 to 15 years down the road, we're still better than we were today.
Right. And James, as the head of the Guam Contractors Association, I wanted to kind of start the conversation towards what the industry is looking at in terms of, the military buildup. Where are we? Are we peaking? Are we nearing the peak? What's your latest update on the construction of Marine Corps base BLAWs?
Oh, we're just getting started right now. These guys are going to be real busy in the next probably about 5 years. As I mentioned to you earlier, we just got off a webinar for what's going on in the CNMI as well. So that's probably another $1 billion in tin alone for the military projects out there. And so we're able to partner with some of the vendors and contractors within the region, including Guam, who are probably going to avail of that opportunity as well. But yeah, we're going to be busy in the near future. And the folks that you got on your show today are probably one of our top contractors on the island, representing Guam to compete alongside other major contractors in the U.S. So, to be in the top 200 performers, top 100 contractor of the year, top, whatever, and to have these companies from Guam participate against the rest of the nation shows the level of workmanship and the level of safety and quality control that our local contractors here have demonstrated to earn this rank. With all the thousands of contractors, and you've got on a little tiny island of Guam, you've got these 5 contractors who have made that list and in the top 100. So, kudos to them. And we're hoping that other contractors would follow suit and also do the same. So Guam will be known as a hub for, one of the best contractors in the country.
Absolutely. Well said. Len, let me get back to the military buildup here. Tell us a little bit about Black's involvement. I know you've got several projects going already with those guys.
Yeah, I think what James said is accurate. That the program has just started. Right now, as far as the immediate future is concerned for 2021, the military has a number of programs that are slated to be bid during this fiscal year and into 22. So the program's just getting started, and there's a lot more to come. We've got quite a bit of military work as we speak right now that's underway, and we're executing. Obviously, this program is going to last a good 5 years, if not longer. It all depends on how fast they get them out, how fast they award them, and execution period. Some are traditional design bid builds, others are design build, which takes a little bit longer, given the design component, depending on the size of the program. But tremendous amount of work over the next 5+ years. So it's a good thing for Guam. It's an opportunity to train young people coming out of either high school or wanting to get a career in the industry. A good opportunity for them to actually get into the trades and make a difference for themselves, for their families, and also for Guam moving into the future.
Yes. And Randy, I know LMS has also been a long time federal contractor. Talk about your involvement in this ongoing military buildup.
Yeah, so we've actually been pretty lucky to have become a sub for quite a few contractors, Black included as well. Thank you, Mr. Kaae.
You're welcome.
We primarily focus on a lot of landscaping and are just touching into civil construction now. But getting the opportunity to learn more, grow more, and as Mr. Kaae aptly said, one of our biggest goals is to make our community better. Get young people who are hungry, who want to learn, who maybe didn't have opportunities, and so promote them from within, get them into LMS, grow them from within, get them to become leaders because they're capable, because they're smart.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
And James, talk to us about, I know that the news, the national news media is reporting that after this massive spending on controlling the coronavirus pandemic, the shift by the president and Congress is going to be toward rebuilding the mainland's aging infrastructure. And so trillions will be apparently poured into those programs. Talk a little bit about that, what your expectations are, and what your expectations are for Guam for receiving some of that money.
Okay, that's a good question, because pretty much what it's done in the U.S. usually more than likely translates to Guam. So I know there's a concentration effort right now into rebuilding the infrastructure back in the U.S., which is going to be great for the economy. And our contractors here, if they have the opportunity, can also probably participate in some of that. But there's a lot of stuff going on in Guam that we'd like to keep them here to work on Guam. But that'll also translate possibly to some infrastructure work on the island. That's going to go through the Department of Defense. So I know that is already currently probably in the process of, and in future bids, you're going to see some of that going on as well. I know that they're looking at hardening the what they call the whole roads, which is basically Route 1 or Marine Corps Drive. So that's a big project to link the U.S. Naval Base to Anderson Air Force Base. So that's one big major project, at least on the roadway, that we're going to be looking at. But there's other infrastructure projects that are also built into some of these military projects that are going on.
Yeah. And Len, you've been around the business a long time. You know that government's part of the way that they try to stimulate economies is through infrastructure, the classic phrase of pump priming. What are your expectations for the upcoming spend by the federal government on infrastructure, and how is that going to trickle down to Guam?
Good question, Ness. I think for the immediate future, our focus is geared towards the military realignment, and with this added infrastructure that's going to be released by the new administration, exciting. How it translates back down to Guam in improving roads, bridges, infrastructure, I think is still in preliminary stages. Certainly, we're capable of doing infrastructural work, whether it's roads, underground utilities, and basic infrastructure such as wastewater, power, and other facilities. And it's a matter of us looking at those opportunities and evaluating where we are at the present time with our current workload and how much manpower and resources we're going to require for the future as this infrastructural improvement all starts to unfold. A lot of opportunities. I guess we just got to be thankful that we're part of the overall picture as it relates to national defense and how Guam plays into the role as far as a key component. You might say tip of the spear focus as it relates to national defense. So that's a key component for I think for the island.
Yeah. Randy, you got any thoughts on that? This trillions of dollars that will be spent by the federal government to shore up infrastructure. Hopefully Guam will get some of that.
Yeah, Mr. Kaae hit it right on the head. I think the biggest thing we have to be concerned about is how does that timing fit in with the military buildup. There's only so many resources on Guam, and getting additional resources can always be a timely endeavor, especially when it comes to H2s and getting more of them. So how does that translate with what time the infrastructure needs to build up with the military buildup? And if they can coincide, if they can work synergistically, then that actually works out extremely well for Guam and could be very, very fruitful.
And James, Randy mentioned H2, which leads me into my next question. I think one of the more significant political developments has been the approval for the use of H2 workers on non-military projects. Talk about the importance of that to Guam and the continued development of the island.
Okay, as you know, and it's been in the news, recently that the NDAA for 2022 actually had provided the use of H2 workers also for non-military construction work. So that kind of opens up the H2B manpower to these civilian projects as well. But I think one of the you were talking about some of the things that are going on right now is the temporary workforce housing that has to be situated on M1 property. So we're having a bit of a challenge there with the local, I think it's the TLUC, to allow for or to meet to approve some of these projects to build that. But there was a current bill and now passed into law, which allows these 6 companies who have waited for so long for these permit approvals to move forward with that project. However, you're going to see a lot more companies who submitted those applications after February of this year, but are not included in that current law that may have the same problem, only because right now they're having a hard time with getting a quorum together to hold these meetings to do these approvals. There's also a shortage of M1 property under the Chamorro Land Trust that could be used for these types of projects. So in essence, what you're seeing is a lot of the people that are bringing H2Bs, not so much in the hundreds, but in the maybe in the tens or maybe a little less, that are being housed in apartment complexes or condominium units, out of the general population. So you want to kind of put those in, what the requirement was for an M1. But again, the challenge is getting M1 property that's available for contractors to build these temporary workforce housing that's required. And then also the time it takes to approve the land use for that purpose, and meeting, to get those approvals and the permitting done. So those are the challenges that I think a lot of contractors are facing right now.
Yeah. Now, Len, you want to weigh in on the significance of the H-2B workers for non-military projects?
Well, I think, obviously Guam has had a pent-up demand on the private side, private industry, as it relates to, potential, projects moving forward. I know we've had numerous requests to inquiries, to actually look at, other projects. Unfortunately, we couldn't because of the lack of labor. We do have a substantial local workforce, but they're all tied up, as well as, having over 500 H2s currently on island. So we're busy. We continue to be busy. We hope to be, busy into the future. Obviously, what James says is very vital, for the industry in getting workforce housing available in qualified zoning areas, as well as, moving the agencies forward to actually get a quorum, get these applicants heard, and get them forward and get the workforce housing opened up so that, the contractors can get more work done, even in the local private industry. So I think in general, there's a lot of opportunities there, both on the military as well as the private industry, that are vital for Guam's continued economic progress.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
And Randy and James, I want to get both of you guys on this. Just as significant, I suppose, as being able to use H2 foreign workers is the development of the local workforce. I know that Bert Johnson has been doing a lot with the GCA Trades Academy. Randy, you first. Could you speak to the importance of developing a local workforce?
It's extremely important. It's how we continue to grow as a company. We have a lot of young people who are hungry, who are smart, and who want to continue to grow. Luckily, we have Vince, who's actually been extremely helpful towards that. So I'll give him a little bit of time to speak. But we as a company prioritize that. And that is actually one of my main aims, is actually create a more structured training development program. So that way, we have it set. We have the promotion path, the succession path to be very clear for all of our employees.
And I can't speak too much about the great success of LMS before my time. I started in August, and coming on board, I recognized quickly that local workforce that LMS hires, they are young and extremely hungry for individual development. If we're talking about building up more infrastructure and getting more funds from the federal government and having the local workforce that we have already, we're developing now a mentorship type program to increase the skills and the trades of the workforce that we already have. And translating all that is just money back into the community, building the community up so they're less dependent on any kind of other support other than themselves, getting them homes, getting them their own jobs, that kind of. So it's not just training, but it's education and developing them as individuals to be professionals at what they are.
Yeah. And James, what's your take on this? I know you work closely with Bert on the Trades Academy. Talk a little bit about the local workforce development.
While workforce development is definitely important for the industry in order for the industry to survive, but we also want to, and especially we'd like to recruit more women into our industry. Right now, throughout the U.S., there are probably about 5% of women working in construction, and we want to kind of, bump that statistic up a little bit because there's opportunities definitely for both men and women in this industry. The other thing that I'd like to mention also is, overtraining. I don't know if it's the correct word to use, but we just want to have a trained workforce within our community that will sustain the normal level of construction once we come over the peak with this military construction, so that when all is said and done, we are left with a highly skilled workforce to sustain the construction work. When we bring in the H2 workers, they're only temporary because if we train everybody and anybody on Guam, which is basically impossible to do the work for the military, and then all of a sudden the work drops down, then where do you put these guys that are trained? You got to lay them off or send them off to the States somewhere. So we don't want to get in that situation. They'll probably be worse off. We want to train local people to sustain the industries after the dust is cleared and after peak. And having said that, then we won't have to probably use in the future more H2s for sustainable work, later on. But for now, because of the military buildup, and now we're seeing a slight spike in commercial and private sector work. We want to keep the trained workforce on island and train people for those jobs, but also for sustaining the industry, after that spike. So don't train too many so that then you've got to lay them off, 5 years from now, but train enough to keep them sustained for after the 5 years and beyond.
Right. And so we got a few minutes left, and I want to just go around to each of you and get your thoughts on what the future is of construction, what sort of challenges you see in the next 5 years or so while we are getting through this military buildup. And let me start with you, Len.
Yeah, thanks, Ness. I appreciate the time today to be on the show. Obviously, there are a lot of challenges that are going to be that the construction industry is going to be faced with over the next 10 years. My estimate on this program, it's going to be at least 10 years. And as James says, you want to train a local workforce to actually carry on into the future. We're currently working with GCC, not to downplay GCA Trades Academy, but we're working with GCC on a construction boot camp. So recently I had 26 young kids, from high school age upwards to a guy that was 45 years old trying to get into a new trade, and get into the construction industry. And so, we're promoting the local workforce as much as we can, but at the same time, it's one thing to want to get into a class. It's another thing to get up at 7 a.m. and get into the hot sun and day in and day out be in this industry. So without going too far into it, I know we don't want to overtrain, but at the same time, the key is as many as we can get out into the workforce will make a difference in the future for Guam. And the reliance on the H2 program, eventually will diminish. But that's something that, I think as an organization, we've got to be focused on is training. And, we can train 100 today, and in a month, we're lucky we'll have 20 left. So, it's just the way the industry is. Construction's a tough job. I've been in this business 50 years. I started off when I was a kid. And I got to tell you, without a perseverance and a drive, people don't make it. That's the reality of this business. It's a tough road to haul, man. So with that being said, thanks again for the opportunity. And congratulations, James, on your new facility. And congratulations to LMS. Keep up the good work, guys. And thanks again, Ness. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, and Randy and Vince, your thoughts?
Yeah, man, it is really hard to follow up Mr. Kaae. He basically gets everything right off the bat. But thank you, Mr. Kaae. Thank you for having us as well. We really do appreciate it. I think we keep harping on the same point, but I do think that that's going to be the biggest difficulty going forward. It's always going to be labor. It's always going to be manpower. How do we get the right people in the right places? How do we continue to grow them so that they can start taking over their own jobs, taking over managing what they need to do, and developing the next generation, so to speak, of labor? And how do we keep pushing that forward? Because as Mr. Kaae aptly said, retention is always difficult. You lose a lot along the way to find sort of the diamonds in the rough. And it's really about us trying to find those diamonds, polish them, while hopefully not losing too many along the way. That said, I think the next decade, as Mr. Kaae said again, it's going to be big. It's going to be huge for Guam, and it will only promote us as a community. Guam will get better. We're going to have improvements across the board in so many areas, and even after this military buildup, there still will be a lot of jobs available. So I'm excited for what the future holds for Guam, and I'm excited for where we as a community can continue to grow and continue to develop.
Yeah. And Vince, your thoughts?
I completely agree. And the way I see this, the way I see LMS going specifically, is to be able to compete with the larger corporations, compete with the larger companies, just by empowering our employees. We have a local workforce that is hungry, as Randy stated before. I want to educate them, train them, not just on one skill, but several, provide them a mentor. So not only do they sustain for themselves and sustain with our company, but developing not everybody else along the way. I mean, you're looking at 10, 20 years down the road that we can compete with the world by developing a world-class, in my perspective, the safety program that also creates jobs, so, and returns it back to the community. Yep. So that's the way I think we're going. I'm looking forward to all the success that we're going to have in the future too.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
All right, sounds good. And so, James, you look like you're sitting pretty as the head of the Guam Contractors Association for at least the rest of the decade. Your final thoughts?
It's going to be very busy, and we're so excited about that. And if I can say anything about the future for Guam and the industry, like I said, it's going to be very exciting. And the folks that you have on your show right now, is there any indication of what our contractors here will be in the future? They've set the bar as far as quality workmanship, as far as what a contractor is, and being nationally recognized as a top performer in the entire U.S. against other bigger contractors. I think we're on the right path, and I think that, like I said, they've set the bar and set the example for other contractors to follow, and we're looking forward to that, because that's going to produce better workers, a highly skilled workforce working for quality contractors here on the island. When the military buildup kind of settles down and we're back to our sustainable level, who's to say that these guys can't go participate in the big $1 trillion infrastructure work back in the U.S. saying, oh yeah, I used to work for Black Construction. Hey, Black Construction was the top 100 general contractor. Yeah, I used to work for them. Oh, come on over. So, like I said, these guys set the bar. These guys, even to have our workforce go there and then transfer to the States, that you work for a good contractor, and you can take that with you and, back into the States. And also offering nationally credentialed certification for the trades over at G-State Trades Academy is going to help with that cause, because we offer nationally recognized credentials that you can actually bring with you back to the U.S. to participate there. But I'd like to discourage that and instead encourage our people to stay on island, get the opportunity. And for those that are still looking for what to do in the next couple of years, construction is a place to be. We don't see tourism coming back for maybe another couple of years. So in the meantime, at least learn a skill. Nobody's going to take that away from you. And maybe you like it, maybe you stick with it, and you're going to make the whole island a whole lot better place to live. So thank you for the opportunity, and kudos to these contractors here today the 5 contractors who put Guam on the map by ranking nationally on top performers in the Associated Builders and Contractors list.
All right, so the future looks pretty bright for the local construction industry, and congratulations again to Black and LMS on your awards. Len Kaae, Randy and Vince Salas, and James Martinez, thank you very much. I'm Nestor Licanto. Thank you for watching In Full Zoom. We'll see you again next week.
In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.